welcome to the Tech Curious Real Estate Agent. I'm Deborah Schwartz. I'm CEO and founder of Rocket Your Biz and a longtime real estate agent in the Silicon Valley. This channel is dedicated to helping real estate professionals everywhere gain knowledge, perspective, and confidence around technology and to help you move forward in an ever-changing world of tech. In fact, it's my #1 goal to make sure that you are the disruptor and not the disrupted. Now, this video is the second video in a 4-part series, and it's all about uniting disjointed real estate software together so that it's easier for you guys to use. So for better context, if you haven't already listened to video 1, I'd go back and take a look at the first video, which will give you a little bit of an introduction, and then let's move on to this one. So today we're going to talk about the middlemen of software, and the technical terms, the acronyms for these are API and SDK. So these are tools that help data get transferred back and forth between different applications so agents don't have to do things like double entering or hiring an administrative agent to do the double entering on different pieces of software. You know, it seems like this should be a very easy task to execute, to be able to connect two applications and just get name, phone number, serial number, address from one place to the other, but it's really a whole lot more complicated than it looks. So the first of these two that I'd like to talk about is the API. So the API is not something that the agent would use, it's something that developers use to connect the two pieces of software. So the agents don't have to do anything, the software companies will take care of this behind the scenes, but it is a little bit complicated and it can be a little bit expensive to do this. First of all, different pieces of software are written in different programming languages, so the APIs help them talk to each other and translate between those two languages. Also, you've probably noticed this in the different tools you use. There's different formats in each tool. So in one tool you might have the name of the person called out as a first name in one column and the second name in another, and then a different piece of software, maybe they have them together, or first name and last name are called something different, like surname instead of last name. So these things are all accounted for in an API to assist the data in moving one way or the other. And then also the API determines whether or not the data is going to be synced one way or two way. And that's generally a negotiation between the two software vendors deciding from one to the other what they're going to allow, what data they're going to allow to transpire between systems, and also whether it's going to be a one-way or a two-way sync. So this means that the agent doesn't have to do anything. These are already built in for the software. However, the agent doesn't have any say in what data gets transferred or how it works. You know, it's generally speaking contact data or property information, but what aspects of that get transferred, it depends on the negotiation between those two software vendors. Now, if the vendors don't have an API connection developed, there are some other systems or third-party systems in the marketplace that you can subscribe to. Usually they're software as a service. These are services like PieSync, Zapier, and API Nation. And these are companies who actually go about the business of building the API connections for these different pieces of software, independent of the two vendors, of course with their permission, and then they allow the agent to connect whatever applications they want using their tool on their website. So that's kind of a cool solution for those companies that have not done their own APIs. However, it does put a lot of burden on the real estate agent because you have to not only be able to connect the different pieces of software you have, but you do need to monitor it regularly. I remember I was using one of these vendors, and if something would change in, say, my Outlook contact record and the software there, it would stop the whole process from going. So you also have to monitor that very carefully yourself. Hopefully some of the vendors will have figured out how to assist with that, but the one particular one I was using, it didn't give me any alerts at all when this happened, so I had no idea that my data was not syncing together. The other thing, if an agent is going to use these services on their own, that's really important is if you have multiple pieces of software, and most of us are using like 10 to 20 different pieces of software. So if you're like the typical agent and you have those 10 to 20 pieces of software and you need contact data or property data to go back and forth, you need to decide which of your systems are going to be the central source of record, that record of truth. Because if you connect application A and B together, and then application C and D together, and then you connect C to B, something's going to go wrong in the middle. So you need to know what your main record source is and start using that as the main place where you put your data on a regular basis. Now, the other option that a developer can use instead of the API is there's this thing called an SDK, which is basically a developer kit. So, for example, Rocket Your Biz has these SDKs that we will give to vendors so that they can achieve the same thing as an API does, with one exception: it's already written in their programming language. So we do that to help reduce the cost and the friction to that vendor in connecting, so they can connect with our software more quickly, and so that they can also do it at a lesser cost because they don't have the development costs of writing that in their own software language. So there are companies out there that are providing SDKs besides ourselves, but they are few and far between. So this is one thing that I would definitely be looking at if I were you, if you were picking software, is how all these things get connected, because it does ultimately affect the cost of your software. So that's all I have to say today. So you've learned about APIs, you've learned about SDKs, which are the two ways that developers help connect software, and you've learned about one method using outside providers like PySync, Zapier, API Nation, where you can actually connect your own software for yourself. So in our next video, we're going to talk about another system that's generally used by a lot of the brokers out there that don't have these type of API connections between different pieces of software. And it's called a single sign-on. So this kind of makes the process of signing onto your applications a lot easier, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of that next time. So before I go, I want to thank you for listening today. Please like our channel, please subscribe to our channel, and then I look forward to seeing you on video number 3. You take care and have a great day.